This is a special version of Chapter 19 of the Ogre course, meant for Blender 3.3 and later. So if you create a human metarig, and under the Rigify panel you see Upgrade Face Rig, you should follow this video. Now here I'm demonstrating with Blender 3.6, which means that I still see the old layers. If you're using Blender 4, you will see the new bone collections, but that is okay. You can follow this initial part of the tutorial, and then when things diverge, I'm going to let you know. If you follow the course so far, you should have a faces collection containing 2 face metarigs, which are aligned to the ogre faces. So let me actually move these faces back to the top collection. So here is the workflow that you need to follow to join these rigs with the main rig, and that has become a lot easier after Blender 3.3. Here is a special step that you need to take if you're using Blender 4 or later. If you select your metarig and you go to the Armature tab and you see Bone Collections, then you have to set up your face collections. If you're using Blender 3.3 to 3.6, then things are a little bit simpler with the old bone layers, so you don't have to do anything. But here, select your main metarig and scroll all the way up, and you should have the face primary and face secondary collections. These came along from the pre-built human metarig that we used at the beginning. So what you need to do is double click in the face collection and press Ctrl C to copy the name. Then go to, let's say, Joe's metarig, and double click on the bones collection, Ctrl and V, and paste this name. Then go back to the metarig, copy face primary, go back to Joe or Joe's face, create a new bone collection, double click, Ctrl V to paste, and then one last time, copy face secondary, go back to the metarig, create a new collection, and paste the name. And I'll do the same thing for Bo. And the final very important step in Blender 4, let's select Joe first, slash to isolate, go to pose mode, select this main face bone, go to the bone tab, and under assign primary collections and assign secondary, press the plus button and choose primary for primary collections and secondary for secondary collections. And do the exact same thing for Bo. Okay, in the next step, we're going to be upgrading the face rig. And if you don't create and assign these additional collections, then things may not work out correctly in Blender 4. So keep this in mind for Blender 4, and from here you can keep following the main steps. Okay, here are the steps. I'm going to select Joe's metarig. I'll press slash to isolate it. And I'm going to press the Upgrade Face Rig button. It is important that you have already aligned the bones of the main metarig carefully before pressing the button. I have, so I'll press the button and confirm. And as you can see, that added new bones to our rig. And the upgrade function also changes the rig types in the face rig. Originally, in the old system, you only had one rig type here for this face bone. But after the upgrade, this bone doesn't really have a rig type. Instead, a lot of the other bones have rig types. For example, this one, and if you click around, you'll find even more. So this converted our face to the new modular face system. This system actually allows you to create your own faces once you understand it, and I'm planning to make a whole course about that. But for now, all we'll do is use the upgrade system to convert the old face to the new modular face. Since the whole idea here is that we want more than one face, I'm going to want to rename these bones so that when I join them into the main rig, the names won't interfere. Just press A to select all face bones, go to Edit, Batch Rename, make sure you switch to Bones, Set Name, Prefix, and I'm going to call this Joe underscore because this is Joe's metarig, and press OK, and now all of my bones will have the Joe prefix. This actually created a little problem which you will only find out when you try to generate the rig. So we are going to solve it before you even experience it. So select this bone, for example, and under bone, you should see orientation, and it is set to face. Face is this bone. It used to be called face, now it is called jaw face. So this setting is not updated, so we have to update it manually. And we have to update it for all bones in this metarig that has this option. So that would be very cumbersome. However, luckily we have a special option. So I'll just have this bone active and then press A to select all other bones, and then click this little copy button here and confirm. And that copied this orientation setting to all other bones that have this setting. For example, this one, you'll see that it's already set to jaw face, and I can click around and find other ones. Here is another one already set. So it's all set. Okay? So that's all for this metarig. I'll go to object mode, go out of local mode, go to both face, and I'm going to do the exact same steps, much faster this time because we know what we are doing. I'm going to go to the armature tab, upgrade the face rig, go to edit mode or pose mode, select all bones, edit, battery name, and again, make sure this setting is set to bones, set name, prefix, name, bow underscore, press OK. Then select this bone, for example, set the orientation to bow face, press A to select all other bones, press the copy button, and that's it, we're done. Now I'll press slash to go out of local mode. I'll hide the ogre mesh, select one face, shift select the second face, and finally shift select my main meta rig. And I'm going to press Ctrl and J. And depending on your Blender version, your faces may disappear or they may not disappear. But either way, it's okay. I'm going to cover both cases. So if the bones did disappear, then you're probably using Blender 3.3 to 3.6. And this is not a problem at all. In fact, in this version of Blender, it is very easy to fix things. You just have to unhide layer 1 and 2 by shift-clicking on them. And then the next step that you want to take is to go to edit mode, and I have some bones hidden in edit mode. I'll just press Alt-H to unhide them. And the next step is to select this main face bone and then shift select the head bone next to it and press Ctrl-P, keep offset. Next, I'll select bow's face, shift select bow's head, and again Ctrl-P, keep offset. So if you're using Blender 3.3 to 3.6, this is all you need to do. Next, you can generate your rig. I'll hide the meta rig, and you'll see that I have my face rigs already inside the main generated rig. And if I shift click here on layer 29, you'll see that I have my deformation bones as well. If I expand the end panel, item, and let's select this jaw, for example, you'll see that the rig main properties are there, and even the rig layers are properly set up. So if I click on this face button, you'll see the main face controls disappear, and face primary will disable the rest of the face controls. And of course, if I enable these buttons, the controls will appear again. So everything is set up. Now let's jump into Blender 4. And I'm at the stage right after joining the face meta rigs with the main meta rig. So we have a single meta rig. And in Blender 4, your faces should not have disappeared. But if they did, then go to the Armature tab, Bone Collections, and make sure that all of the face collections are visible. Then go to Edit Mode, and we'll do the same as in the previous version of Blender. I'll select this face bone. If you don't see it, you can enable X-ray here. So select the face bone, shift select the head bone, Ctrl-P, keep offset, and then select the other face bone and shift select the other head bone, Ctrl-P, keep offset. And I believe that is all we have to do. Let's generate the rig. And you can see that my faces were generated. Again, if I go to pose mode and select one of the jaws, for example, I can see the rig main properties for that jaw. And if I select the other one, I will have the other property, right? They are independent. And also we have the rig layers set up. So in this version, we have the main face controls, primary face controls, and secondary face controls. And if I scroll down here in the bone collections all the way down and enable DEF, you'll see that I have my deforming bones for the faces. And if I rotate the head around a little bit, you'll see that the face does rotate with it. So everything seems to be set up correctly. Let's actually do the same test in the previous version of Blender, and yes, it's all good. I believe after editing this video, it's going to be around 10 minutes, and we already have the faces set up. If you compare this to the old workflow, which I'll keep around, you can check it out. The old workflow was so much more complex. I think it took around 1 hour and custom scripting and whatnot to set up. So very nice improvements on the face rigs. Now all that is left is to bind our character geometry to these new face bones that we created. The binding process will not depend too much on your Blender version. The main thing that you need to keep in mind is the deforming bones. In Blender 4 and later, you have this DEF collection. Let me unhide the ogre. And then if I go back to Blender 3.6 or any version that has the old rig layers, then the deforming bones are here on layer 29. That is the main difference. There are some differences in weight painting, which I explained in chapter 4, Weight Painting 101. You can watch that chapter again if you want a refresher on the differences in weight paint mode between different Blender versions. But anyway, I'll be working here and I'll mention differences with Blender 4 when necessary. So let's go to object mode, unhide the character, Alt-H, and now I'll hide the meta rig. And with the character selected, I'll shift select the rig, press Ctrl-P, and choose empty groups. That is just so that we add the newly added face bones to the vertex groups of the mesh. Once that is done, here is the most efficient way to weight paint this character in my opinion. I'll select the rig, slash to isolate it, make sure that the deforming bones are visible, and then I'll hide the face and torso controls. Then I'll go to pose mode and select all bones of the face and head and necks. And be careful not to select any of the body bones. And now I want to actually deselect some bones. There are teeth, tongue, and eye bones that I don't want in this selection. So actually, let's do something else. I'll select the teeth. They are these bones here inside the face structure. You can also verify the name here. So I'll select the teeth and then shift select the tongue bones and the eye bones. Be careful not to select anything behind these bones that you select. And then press H to hide them. And I'll do the same for the other head. H to hide. Okay, looking good. So now from the front view, I'll box select over the two heads and faces and select them all. And then I will control and drag on the first neck bone. So for Joe, there is just one neck bone, so I'll deselect it. And then deselect the first neck bone of Bo. Okay, then go out of local mode, go to object mode, shift select the character, go to weight paint mode. And now the bones that we selected in pose mode will still be selected here in weight paint mode. So what I need to do next is go to weights, assign automatic from bones. And that is the same as with automatic weights. You know, when you select your mesh and then shift select the rig and press Ctrl-P, automatic weights, that is the exact same process, except that it only does it for the selected bones. Okay, now if I control click or in Blender 4 alt click on a bone, you'll see how this head bone only affects the head and this bone only affects the forehead and so on. One thing that this approach doesn't do is auto normalize. So I'll go to weights, normalize all, and then disable lock active. So that should auto normalize all bones. With that, we are almost done. But if I select this bone, you'll see that it affects the face, which is not good. We definitely want to paint out these weights. And you should also enable other bones in this area and verify that they don't have any influence on the head. And actually, if you go to overlays and enable zero weights active, you can see the weights even more clearly. Okay, so black means absolutely no weights, and we'll try to make sure that these body bones do not have any influence on the faces. By the way, in Blender 4, the weight paint overlays have been separated in their special menu. That is just an UI difference, but otherwise it works the same. So now to paint out these weights, I'll enable this bone, go to Tool, switch to Subtract, make sure that my strength is high, and weight is also high, and I'll just click in the face area. Actually, let's undo, and I'll show you why I'm doing this. I'll select the rig and enable the torso controls, which has the head control. And if I rotate the head, you'll see the eyes and teeth poking out of the face. And that is because some of the surrounding bones of the body are still affecting the face. So let's shift select the character, go to weight paint mode, select this collarbone which seems to be affecting the face, go to Tool, again set your brush to subtract, weight of 1, strength of 1, and auto normalize is also enabled. And then I'll click in this area, and now if I disable overlays, you'll see how as soon as I click in here, the eyes no longer poke through the face. And I'll do the same here. Right? Just paint out these weights. Okay, so having overlays on allows me to see the color, and having it off allows me to see the actual mesh. So both are useful. Okay, I'll also enable this bone and make sure it doesn't affect the faces. And let's see the other face. It's looking good. So now I'll activate the other collarbone and paint out any influence from the face. And I can rotate this head and see if anything is poking through, and it seems nice. Here we have some weirdness with the eye. And so you have to figure out where the unwanted weights are coming from. So what you could do is go to edit mode for this mesh and select one of these vertices in this area. And then go to item. And I can see that Bo's neck has a little bit of influence here. So let's select the rig, then shift select the character again, weight paint mode. Okay, yeah, so this first neck bone has a lot of influence over the face, so let's paint it out. And you should see that the eye is already looking much better. And yeah, Joe's neck also has a lot of influence over the face, so let's paint it out. And that should give you very acceptable deformations in the face. If I select the rig and enable the face controls and try to open the mouth, you'll see that it does open. Now the problem is that the teeth and eyes are not yet weighted. So let's do that. I'll hide the main character mesh. And now select all of these teeth, eyes, and tongue meshes. Then press Alt-P, clear and keep transformation. Then shift select the rig and press Ctrl-P, with empty groups. So very early on in the course, we parented these meshes to the head bone, if I remember correctly. So now I removed this parenting and then parented these meshes to the rig with empty groups. So now we actually need to assign the weights because currently there are no weights. So if I go to pose mode, nothing will move. Here is what you need to do. Select Jaw's lower teeth, go to edit mode, select all vertices, go to vertex groups under data and look for teeth in this search field. Choose jaw teeth B, B stands for bottom, and click assign. Then go to the upper teeth, edit mode, select all vertices, jaw teeth T, and click assign. Then let's go to Bow's teeth, lower teeth, go to edit mode, select all vertices, choose Bow teeth B, click assign. Make sure that weight is set to 1, by the way. Then upper teeth, select everything, Bow teeth T, and click assign. Now let's do a quick test. If everything is set up correctly, the teeth should move with the jaw. Let's do the eyes next. Actually, I could select all eyes and then go to edit mode. And then I just need to select one vertex of an eye and then press Ctrl L to select everything else. Now in the vertex groups, I'll look for eye, and there will be a lot of eye vertex groups. So what you need are these simple eye vertex groups, not the master ones and not the iris ones. So this is Jaw's left eye, so I need to select jaw eye.l and click assign. Then I'll select the vertex in this eye, press Ctrl L, choose jaw IR and press assign. Then select the vertex here, Ctrl L, bow eye.l, click assign. Then select the vertex here, Ctrl L, bow IR, and press assign. Now, if I go back to the rig and move these eye controls, the eyes should be moving and following the eye target. And it seems to be the case. So now if I unhide everything and test my rig, I can hide the deformation bones and the metarig. So now I can open the jaw and you'll see the teeth moving with it. I have the eyes following the eye target and we have nice deformations in the eyelids. Okay, we are almost there. What is left is actually the tongue. So again, I'll hide the main mesh. Select my rig, enable the deforming bones, go to pose mode, press Alt-H because previously we hid these bones. And I'll try to select all of these tongue bones for jaw. Then go to object mode, select the tongue, go to weight paint mode. The mesh seems to be hidden, I'll press Alt-H. And then I'll press weights, assign automatic from bones. So that is the same thing that we did with the face. And now automatic weights were assigned for the tongue. I'll do the same thing on the other head. So select the tongue bones. Go to object mode, shift select the tongue, go to weight paint mode, weights, assign automatic from bones. Okay, and now if I test the rig, I can enable the face primary, which will show me the tongue control, and you'll see that it does control the tongue. Let's unhide everything. And just like that, we have two functional face rigs. Now, if you play around with these rigs a lot, you may find some problems with them. This works surprisingly well actually, but if you find any problems, they will most likely be weight painting problems. And if you follow this course, you should be a pro at weight painting, so you know what to do. And I believe this concludes the special version of chapter 19 for Blender 3.3 and later.